Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a blessed and beautiful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel, and we are commanded to love one another. Well, today, I'm asking a simple question. Do you feel sorry for black people when they get the wake-up call? Now, according to American history, the first enslaved people came to the United States in 1619. That was 404 years ago. Now, we've had all that time to get to know white people, and they have shown us, for the most part, their nature. There are some really, really nice white people, but it's the system of white supremacy that we have lived under that has been very difficult for us. It would be nice if the white people that we know are nice were running the country, but they are not. It's the white people who go along with the system of white supremacy that are in charge. They run the country, they have the authority, and they make the decisions. I have often said to the young people in my family that my generation failed the young people. And I believe the reason why is because we are the children of integration when the system opened up to integration. And we were so busy, and I'm speaking strictly about myself now, so busy trying to prove that we were good enough and that the system had changed and everything was going to be equal now. And we just got to prove to white people that we are good enough and that all of those stereotypes that they had about us were wrong. So we spent, and I'm saying we, but I mean I, spent a lot of time trying to prove that negative. And I learned something very important. You cannot prove a negative. You cannot prove that you are not what somebody else says you are. And it is to white people's advantage to continue to believe whatever stereotype they have about us, because that is what got them in control, and that is what keeps them in control. But for my generation, we failed the younger people. We failed the next generation because we did not teach them the things that we knew about the system and about white people. I'm not talking about the nice white people that everybody wants to bring up in the conversation. I'm talking about the ones that are not. The ones that are going along with the system. And that's what this video is about. A lie that has been spread throughout the black community, throughout the United States of America, is that if you have enough money, you can buy your way into whiteness. If you can just get your hands on some money. And so we all believe that. And many of the black people who get their hands on some money perpetuate that myth and try to make black people who don't have money think that they are living the life of Riley. They get them a white woman and move into a white neighborhood and drive a fancy car. And they flounce around, flashing jewelry, going on TV shows, trying to use a lot of big words, trying to make everybody think that they've got it made, instead of telling the truth before the truth comes out in a public and embarrassing way. Now, O.J. Simpson is the most extreme case of this, but there are others who have been exposed in embarrassing ways. Professional athletes are among the first of black Americans to make a lot of money, to be publicly recognized, and to do really well in the public forum. We were very proud of athletes, especially back in the day when they first started making big money and getting all of this attention. But they have become some of the worst at perpetuating the lie that everything is going well until it's not. And Wilt Chamberlain, who is one of the greatest basketball players that's ever lived, was one of the first to publicly go out of his way to criticize black women. I can remember that from way back in the day, an article in Ebony magazine where he talked about black women not being as sophisticated as white women and didn't appreciate art, as he had pictures of naked women on the walls in his house. So that was supposed to be the art that black women couldn't appreciate, pictures of naked white women. And he claims to have slept with 20,000 women. He never got married. Nobody even knew who the girlfriend was. And he didn't have a baby mama. But he painted the picture of himself as this sophisticated, virile man that women found irresistible. Irresistible to white women because apparently he had no interest in black women. But this was distancing himself from the black community. And we've seen a lot of that. Wilt Chamberlain never had a public wake-up call to my knowledge. But he died in 1999, before social media got into full swing. I would say that Wilt Chamberlain probably needed a wake-up call, because a wake-up call is a good way of letting you know that it is not smart to distance yourself from your people. You can have a preference without dragging the people in your own race down. So my feeling is that any black person who steps back in it dealing with white people kind of get what they ask for. The question is, do black people feel bad for them? I think I do, because, stupid is still a word. But I've got 3 cases and then a bonus case of black men, to me, that should have known better, but they ended up stepping back in it or assuming something that they should not have been assuming. Number 1, Scottie Pippen, and it's not even about his wife. This headline says, Scottie Pippen accuses Phil Jackson of being racist. Scottie Pippen accused his former NBA coach Phil Jackson of being a racist on Monday in the latest act of candor from the Basketball Hall of Famer. While appearing on the Dan Patrick Show, Pippen was asked about recent comments he made to GQ in which he said Jackson made a racial move by not giving him the last-second shot in a 1994 playoff game against the Knicks. Pippen infamously refused to return to the game with 1.8 seconds left after learning he would not get to take the shot. Croatian forward Tony Kukoc ended up hitting the game winner for the Bulls. Well, it looks like a white man did what white men do. Instead of letting Scottie Pippen get the last win, he let the white guy get the last win. That's not new. When the schools first integrated in the South, they would put black boys out there on the field to run the ball because black players were fast. I think they call them running backs. They would run the ball down to the end zone, and then they would let the white boy take it over. And the white boy got written up in the newspaper as the winner. Except that people who are really watching the game and who know how to scout for the best player, they know who ran the ball down to the end zone. But that's an old trick that white coaches do. So yeah, it is racist. And so that's what they do. I'm not saying it's right. It's not right. But that's what they do. And the only reason they don't do it now is because they know they can't get away with it. But do you feel sorry for Scottie Pippen for not being able to make the game-winning shot and for still whining about it millions of dollars later? Do you feel sorry for him? Asking for a friend. Next up is Michael Oher versus Sean and Leanne Toohey. Which one do we believe? This headline says that the Blindside producers say the Tooheys were only paid $767,000, not millions. So now the movie studio is coming back and backing up what that white woman said, because they are not going to leave her out there by herself looking like a liar or looking greedy, like she's taking advantage of a homeless kid. So we don't know what she was paid. Michael Oher doesn't know. And we don't know. We don't know if they're telling the truth or not. The movie made over $309 million worldwide, and they get paid royalties on that movie. So they could or could not be telling the truth. The men who helped bring The Blind Side to theaters are standing with Sean and Lee Ann Tui. The head of Orkin Entertainment has spoken up in the wake of Michael Oher slamming his adoptive parents. They are not his adoptive parents. They did not adopt him. For finessing him into a conservatorship and getting rich from his life story. As the company that produced the critically acclaimed film, they are slamming Oher's claim that the Tuohys got rich from the movie deal. So see, they're throwing him under the bus. Sticking together, that's what they do. In 2023, we should not have to have this kind of wake-up call. Michael Oher should have known what he was doing when he filed this suit, because they are not going to let these white people come out looking like scammers or users of a homeless black kid. So he was young, but he had kinfolks in Tennessee. He had brothers and sisters who had them. How come he was the one standing out there walking the streets at night in the cold rain? Because it's probably all fabricated. The South is a bastion of football fanaticism. You have never seen anything like it until you spend a football weekend in a place like Tuscaloosa, Alabama, when the University of Alabama is playing a football game. All of the spaces around town are filled with these big RVs, these recreational vehicles. The hotels are full. They jack the price up of hotels like you wouldn't believe. You cannot get a room at a regular price. And I think they do it because so many people will come and pile into a room. So they just charge for everybody in the room. It's not unusual for a room in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, just a regular room, to go for $899 on a football weekend. And I'm not talking about anything luxurious. I'm talking about the Holiday Inn. So anyway, these people go all out for football. And when they see a budding football player in high school, they will take that kid under their wings because they want that kid to commit to their alma mater. And I believe that is what happened with Michael Oher. I'm sure that's what happened to him. They wanted him to go to Ole Miss because they wanted Ole Miss to win. And they saw the contribution that he could potentially make to that team. And he did. He went to Ole Miss and he did well. But in the process of their recruitment, they make those kids an offer that they can't refuse. So it's a good chance that somebody in his family told him not to be fooled with those people. But, he wanted to, because they make it look good. They lived in a beautiful house, plenty of food to eat, had his own room. Did he say something about he didn't even know what a bed was? I didn't even believe that. That's just really silly. But again, a wake-up call, and he's 37 years old now. He's just now getting this wake-up call. But I cannot believe that somebody didn't try to advise him when he was young. But it is almost impossible to get these young men to see that once these white people start flirting with them, because they really do make it attractive. But the end of it usually is not a good end for the black person. So the question is, do you feel sorry for him? Asking for a friend. Next up is Dominique Wilkins, a retired basketball player. Dominique Wilkins reveals he left racist North Carolina and didn't return for 30 years. NBA legend Dominique Wilkins opens up about fleeing racism in North Carolina, sharing his decision to leave and the impactful aftermath. Dominique Wilkins reflects on leaving North Carolina due to racial discrimination. Fleeing a racist incident, Wilkins moved to Atlanta for a fresh start. Imagine leaving North Carolina for Georgia. Wow. Wilkins refrained from returning to North Carolina until 30 years later. NBA legend Dominique Wilkins has shared a deeply personal and impactful story of leaving his hometown in North Carolina due to racial discrimination. In a candid interview with Vlad Lubany, I don't know, that's Vlad TV, yeah, Wilkins revealed the pivotal incidents that led him to make the courageous decision to move away. It was two things. One was the cross, which you can't get more racist than that. The other thing, I remember coming out of a department store and someone followed me out and said, "Hey, a security guy," he said, "we're going to have to arrest you because you stole this tape." And they threw a tape in a planter right next to the store. And it was crazy because I'm looking at him. I'm like, I had $3,000 in my pocket. And I said, I'm going to steal a $5 tape? Are you kidding? But I knew what it was. It's because of the decision I made. So my cousin, who was on the police force, he was the one who they called. We're going to sort all of this out because we know what's going on. So his family packed up that night and moved to Georgia. He says, Wilkins also expressed his gratitude to the University of Georgia for its pivotal role in supporting him and his family during this critical time. The university assisted with the relocation process and provided the necessary help for a smoother transition to Atlanta. Dominique Wilkins' story of leaving a racially discriminatory environment in North Carolina highlights the strength, resilience, and determination that guided his life choices. His decision to move to Atlanta marked a turning point, allowing him to thrive as an NBA legend and inspiring figure. The article doesn't say it, but apparently his family was living in North Carolina. He played basketball in high school in North Carolina, but he committed to playing college basketball at Georgia. And I think that's why he received the harassment at the department store. But this was a wake-up call for him. And what I can say for Dominique is that he seemed to have heeded the wake-up call, because we don't hear about any self-inflicted problems that Dominique has brought on himself, or not that I've heard about, where he was crying racism based on something he did as opposed to what somebody else did. So he got a wake-up call as a young person, and recently he was turned away at a restaurant in Georgia. He went public with the discrimination, and the restaurant apologized to him, and they resolved it in a quiet manner. So I think that's a classy way to handle a wake-up call. Do you feel sorry for him? Ask him for a friend. I like the way Dominique handled his wake-up calls because he did it with knowledge of how people are and what they're capable of doing. And as opposed to playing a victim after making a bad choice or refusing to believe somebody when they show you who they are, he deals with them on the level that they operate. You discriminated against me. I'm living in North Carolina, and you're mad because I'm going to Georgia, so I just moved to Georgia. You discriminated against me because I want to come into the restaurant and eat. I expose you. You apologize. We handle it that way because we are going to get these wake-up calls. But it depends on how we handle them. Last but not least is TJ Holmes, and he too is getting a very public wake-up call. The rumor is that Amy Robach has been offered a big deal at News Nation, but they have not offered him a deal and told him he has no place in their studio. So she is either contemplating the job or has taken the job, and he's mad because they didn't offer him a job. Well, that's your wake-up call. He's been playing footloose and fancy-free with the women. He thinks, I guess, he's too handsome to fail. And now it looks like he's going to be standing out there begging for a job. I know people keep saying, oh, he had a big settlement. He's going to be all right. Well, we don't know for how long. Amy Robach has more money. She and her ex-husband have sold 2 homes, and she's walked away with millions. So far, it seems like his ex-wife, is still in his house. He hasn't sold a house. So it looks like he's going to have to rough it on his own because he has burned some bridges and nobody seems to be willing to come to his rescue. But would you like to rescue him? Do you feel bad for him for getting this painful wake-up call? Well, let me know. Let me know. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Share the video. And as always, have a great day.